Now, here's another comment. Grand Sheik said that what he is teaching would not be used by us in the future. It was taught to make us competent, but most of us are still incompetent to this day.
I can't do nothing but agree with that. And the Grand Sheik he talking about is Noble Drew Ali.
Well, he's probably talking about Grand Sheik Tariq Bey too, because he has said that. He says that this is what we're doing today is not what we're going to be doing later on. It's not even he always says you are the paperwork when it comes to like the nationality or nationality, your birthright. You have to he said do the paperwork. I've heard him say it, do the paperwork and put it in your file. He didn't say don't give it to them. That's for you to be competent to be able to make your declarations and proclamations as to who you are. I never heard him tell somebody to go take it somewhere, but others have said that. So it's confusing for many, and I want to get clarity on that. So in response to Tanya Taylor question, you're not saying that any paperwork, nothing should be done, but you're saying when it comes to who you are, you don't need to validate. Have a de facto government or whoever they are validate who you are because they're fiction or fraudulent. Is that what you're saying?
They can't validate you. This is only thing can happen is this. If they are not in the position to be able to validate you, they can't validate you because they're already a legal fiction. You going to them, telling them to validate you, right? You're an imbecile in law, and you just proved they case over your incompetence make you a ward of the court.
Well, how do you just simply put them on notice? How do you put them on notice? How do you put everybody on notice?
You make a public declaration in an archivable format, such as social media, because it's time stamped and dated. Anything that you do by public notice on social media is considered sufficient public notice. If 1,000 people can see it from your general area unrestricted, that means that if your page not made private, then you make your declaration yourself.
If that's the case, then you can also go to Scribd and you can upload your paperwork on Scribd. And now you've got, millions of people can see it because, it's on Scribd.
It's archivable format.
Right.
But you got to make sure that you mention that it's a public notice.
Right. So this is clarity, because you're not saying don't do it. You're saying don't send it to them.
Yeah, they can only anything business you do with them is an adhesion contract. Any business you do with them at all. But on the land, all of us around the land, we can take any control of the land by general consensus of agreement between us. So we first have to have the sensibility to assert our sovereign self, our 5/5 realized self, right? Our full God body. You have to know what you are in order to know what to present yourself as, right? When you're incompetent in law, you 3/5 compromise at that point. You're an imbecile in the ward of the state. That go back to the Papal Bulls we talked about earlier. White man's burden, the civilized and uncivilized world. The proof of your lack of civilization is the fact that you are an imbecile in law. You're not functional to take care of your own affairs. When you make it known in our culture, under the oral tradition, by public notice, that you are competent, and in your competence, you know who you is, and you state your name you gave yourself. Most people don't never change their name. You don't have to. You can accept that name and use that name to establish your sovereign capacity, but you can't file it with the enemy. Anything you file with him verifies that you're an imbecile and puts you back under his jurisdiction and resurrect the dead contract.
So that's what an adhesion contract is.
Yeah.
Actually sending it to them, not
right.
Somewhere.
But you don't know you contracting with them. That's what make it an adhesion contract. Because you don't know it's a contract. As long as you don't have to know it's a contract to sign a contract. right? Because you already imbecile in law, they just gonna put the lien against the straw man based on your incompetence, right? When before July the 4th, 2019, everything Todd said was applicable. Once the contract expired, now there's only one remedy. Cease and desist all business with the foreign entities on the land and send them into exile. There's no other course of action. But we the ones keeping them here by continuously following their false narratives. We feeding into their jurisdictional declaration of our incompetence. So as long as we showing our incompetence, they running the narrative as we slowly wake from our slumber. And again, I get it now. They already been put on notice. I sent you a post I did earlier, and it said that Galactic C50 has sole jurisdiction of the living and the dead. That's the God force of the Earth realm. Galactic C50 covers the Earth realm. These people ask me if I'm competent. Ask them, did they know that? Right? They want to know if I know what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. When Galactic Seat 50, that's Thoth's seat. But it was originally the seat of Isis, the Queen of Heaven and Earth. But when she sat on it, it was Council Seat 40. Okay. So now, it's out of the 72 elders, we got 2 elder seats. We got 40 and we got 50 now. Because Thoth takes the seat that Enlil declared vacant, which is the father line birthright of the earth right. And we had no father line heredity on earth. That's when he assumed his jurisdiction. That's what he used to pull rank on Enki. So now that they didn't all of the elders, they see what's up. They know what's going on. Now we got to convince the grassroots, but we can't fear the opposition or the pushback, because sometimes that's how they're going to learn. They're going to push back because they've been taught a certain way. So then I tell them what the real remedy is. Elijah Muhammad said, go to yourself and accept your own. Your own is the earthborn. It's 12 daughters of Isis, which is the 12 earth tribes. The 13th tribe is the tribe of Thoth that sits in Big Mama house. Because Big Mama wanted her baby boy close by. That's it. So he don't go nowhere till she tell him. But when she tell him, he don't leave no stone unturned. No.
Let me see about any more comments. I'm learning how to get tough skin, y'all. There's just so many things that. So, what must we do? And I know you're saying it. I don't want to treat you like boutique grand chic. What must we do to redeem ourselves from the curse that we have been under, that we think we're under?
Right now, Dr. G, it's a matter of awareness, right? The ones of us that get it, we ain't explaining it to the ones that don't, right? It's just a few of us, like you called me on here to explain it to the people on your platform. But the people who don't know, you can't expect no help from them when they don't know. And the ones who get it have been through such harsh conditions, they're scared to go out for fear of being called insane to explain it. You know?
Yeah.
So, again, that's why we got to take all of the questions, the good ones, the bad ones, the hard ones, and the easy ones, with the same grain of salt.
Yeah. So, because I think some of the things for some people may be a bit incredulous, you know, because we're mixing things that happen on a galactic level And there was a question. Oh my gosh, yeah, way back up here. My sister, I started, so I got to find it. I don't remember asking it, but it was Sister Bliss Singh.
So while you looking for that, Dr. G,
Yeah.
the reason why it looked like it's galactic things going on and Earth things, because it's cycles within cycles, as above, so below. One mimics the other.
Okay.
Right. So just like the war in heaven, heaven had to get cleaned up, right? After the war was over. Right. What makes you think Earth don't got to get cleaned up after the war is over?
Is the war over? Or is it still in? Is it
it's
still?
A wrap. It's a wrap. The only thing that's missing is grassroots awareness that the problem is resolved. That's the only thing that's missing. They've been put on notice. They didn't close down the borders. They're changing over government in real time, and none of us ain't paying no attention, so we don't know, and ain't nobody telling nobody. They're not telling them where to look. Under FEMA, you can find the continuity of government to tell you how it works. That's a FEMA document. FEMA is short for female. FEMA was a fuck up in all of them catastrophes because they had to get the training from somewhere. Disasters, that you can't get trained to handle disasters and you ain't never been through one. You got to experience it. And that was the different groups out of matriarchy that handles different things, learning how to process the whole of the government. What if the whole thing was a disaster at the same time? So if you don't know what the continuity of government documents say, and you don't know what the Indigenous Rights Act of 2017 say, and you don't know about the judge that filed the claim filed the case in 2015, and you don't know about Trump going to get our gold certificate on our wealth back from the Philippines, if you don't know that he also closed down the Federal Reserve and the IRS, if you don't know none of this stuff, you just going to be going along to get along with their system. But everywhere I just told you, you can go check it out. You ain't got to believe me.
Is it like, you know what I got the thought, it's like we're going through another Juneteenth situation.
Another what?
Juneteenth.
Where it takes a period of time before some of us remember that
we're already free from this, but we still living like we're part of their jurisdiction and under their subjugation.
It's worse than that because some of us is fighting with guns to stay on the plantation. We coming that hard to stay on the plantation. We don't want to give up massa. That's the sad part. They come out against the ones that know what's going on, and the ones that almost know, they trick them to take sides with them. The dirty Moors know what I'm talking about. I'm only having disputes with the righteous Moors who was misled because they're going to defend that shit. The dirty Moors going to go sit down and shut the fuck up. That's why I don't have no problem taking none of those hard questions. Because the only ones going to speak up right now was the good Moors anyway. All the dirty Moors is in the background talking about, oh shit, the gig is up. We caught red-handed in our red shoes and in our KKK hoods. They know what's up. The good Moors, not so much. And the goodness in them going to make them defend what they believe. Even if it's dogma. Because their moral compass can be applied to that dogma.
That makes sense. Makes sense.
They weaponize you against yourself. That's why I be saying people sold out and didn't even get a dime for it. Because they don't know no better. Ignorance costs way more than you would ever give it credit for. But some say ignorance is bliss. For a damn fool.
Wow. I'm still looking for the question, but here's another one while we're at it that I start. Is Detroit a major energetic vortex that we can tap into for awakening positive ascension changes?
100%. It's a victory energy in Detroit from the French garrison's fell to Chief Pontiac in Detroit on Belle Isle. And Belle Isle is a ritual place that we used to go to before they separated Canada from America. We came from the north to Belle Isle, and we used to, like, when they have Mardi Gras in New Orleans, it was only a couple of weeks after where we would have the Belle Isle. It wasn't called Belle Isle then, but we would have a big feast on the island, and we would come by boat. We didn't have a bridge. We used to come by canoe and flatboat, right on over there to the island, and we barbecue and we dance and we laugh, tell jokes, all that stuff. The acoustics was so great on the island in the spot where we used to stand and sing. They built an amphitheater down there. The acoustics was good before they built the amphitheater. They just tried to improve on what was already there. Just like from the top of Thoth's pyramid, when you hear the rest of the tribesmen that's wearing the feathers of the great thunderbird stomping they stomp, and they do it in sections, it sounds like that the thunder is rolling across the ground. You can literally feel the energy of the sound as the sound waves move across the ground. But don't none of the ones that's questioning me know nothing about the Thunderbird Festival, who made it, why we made it, what we was doing with the ceremony. They don't know that. And they can't go pull up a book that tell them, well, we can read it in that hieroglyphics down there. Just like I wrote it when I wrote it.
Oh, great. Okay, so here's the question. Please ask Rod if he knows about the NAA, Negative Alien Agenda, and its use of negative reversals and holographic implants using AI matrix / machinery.
That's what we've been fighting the whole time. Exactly what she described is who we've been fighting the whole time. That's Enlil's dogmatic doctrines in his scientific pursuits. He was a military general. He wasn't a scientist.
Inky was a scientist, right?
Inky was a geneticist. And, yep. But you had other scientists too. All that AI, that's a whole different branch of scientists. That was relegated to one of his sons. They call it Aya. Not to be confused with Inky as Ea. EA is one of Inky names. Okay. Aya is AIA. He's from Babylonia. He's the Babylonian scientist priest. And his job was to deal with things that cannot be seen with the naked eye, meaning nanoparticles. Artificial intelligence is named after him, by the way, his initial.
Wow. AI. Wow. Yeah, I recently, like I said, looked at the American Horror Story season 10, episodes 7 through 10, when Sister Fariel, told me about it, and I looked at it, and it was just, I was just amazed at how much, because I knew about a lot of this stuff, but to see it in that movie with the agenda with Eisenhower, the agreement that he allegedly signed to that they could take 5,000 Americans, humans, or whatever, every year for research, and all of the things that were going on with Kennedy and Nixon and Marilyn Monroe and everything. They put it all in the movie, and I was like, well, how can we assume that this is fiction if they have real so-called historical figures and things that we know actually happened, and almost like you're giving the backstory of why these things did happen.
So Eisenhower's treaty with the aliens, it's on file. When they used to give it out, they used to black out who he was communicating with. Mm-hmm. But you can read it. It's one of the it's a treaty. Just 1957, go through the treaties. It's one of them. Mm-hmm. Valiant Thor stayed in the White House 3.5 years. Then he moved to the Pentagon, and he was in the Pentagon until the 90s.
Yeah, they said that he was like 60 years, according to the show, 60 years, doing whatever he was doing, and then only to find out that the agenda was not to just stay them, but to to take over this earth.
No, Valiant Thor is a Venusian.
Okay, so that's the feminine planet, right? Love.
Anytime they come to Earth, it's only to do what's in the greatest good for Earth itself, not even for the people, Earth itself. So whatever he was doing, whatever Valiant Thor was doing, if he stayed true to his Venusian roots, he's going to either be giving them technologies that's clean energy technologies, clean energy weaponry, stuff like that, where it do the least amount of damage to the Earth itself. Right? Like he would come up with a weapon that might kill the flesh of the human, but it won't harm a tree.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Those are kind of things that they would use Valiant Thor for. But they would never put those type of weapons out because the destruction is not enough to wreak fear to the level that they need it. But yeah, so when he was there, if you go back, Eisenhower gave a whole speech on the contract that he had signed with the military-industrial complex. Those were Rumerian Greys that was a warring species that he signed to get that information and to set up the military-industrial complex. You want to hear something funny?
Sure.
The American government told the aliens, y'all violating the contracts and the treaties we signed. And the aliens bust out laughing and said, y'all never honored the treaty. We didn't expect y'all to honor ours. So it was signed in bad faith on both parts.
So yeah, they took far more. Yeah.
Right. Now it's a funny story to me, but it also renders the agreement void from both sides because nobody entered the agreement in good faith.
But it continued.
That's because we haven't seized power yet. This is all part of this campaign. The Free Larry Hoover campaign is all part of us coming together to seize power.
So how do we free Larry and Larry Hoover and Angel Bay and Tukey Wilson?
It's like just say like entertainment by popular demand. By popular demand, they're not supposed to move nowhere without hearing Free Larry Hoover. And Free Larry Hoover to us means Free Chief Malik Angel Bay. Free Larry Hoover to us means hands off Sada Shakur, bring her home. Free Larry Hoover to us means Free Mumia Abu Jamal. Free Larry Hoover to us mean free Imam Jamal Al-Amin, formerly known as H. Rap Brown. Right? All this mean free all political prisoners. Free Larry Hoover mean that to us. It's the battle cry. They know when they hear that, the louder it get, the more they tremble. And it's getting pretty goddamn loud in their ears, and they can feel us breathing down their neck, but they said they ain't all woke up yet. There's not enough of them woke yet. We can drag it on a little bit more. Right? Free Larry Hoover mean raise the matriarchy and restore the land back to the people. That's what it mean to us as a battle cry. Free Larry Hoover mean that to get all of these pedophiles off the land with their pedophile cults. Right? Free Larry Hoover mean that all of the legal fictions operating in government capacity be banished from the land. All that Free Larry Hoover mean all that to us. Free Larry Hoover mean restore our personal family banks like we used to have. All of us had a big mama who controlled the family bank. Right? So now we got to go back to teaching each other how to run family banks. We're gonna have seminars on that, on the turnaround, because the sisters got to know, and it's gonna be free. We accept donations, but we don't charge a fee. And you can come in for free whether you leave a donation or not. That's not as important as you being there to get the information. Right? So when we realize that Babylon failed, I said it 2 years ago and I'll say it today, this is a wrap. The people just need to become aware of it. This is all we doing now at the grassroots level. The more of us become aware, the more they know that the gig is up. They running a masquerade show in front of us from Hollywood Castle Rock Studios and shit, but they telling us that this is taking place in DC and ain't nobody in fucking DC. So while we sitting here, you know, bickering back and forth about linguistics, drop the words, drop all the language. You organic to the land is as simple as you can put it. Either you from the land or you ain't, and the land gonna tell on you if you ain't, because it's gonna suck your ass up. Right? And then it's gonna spit you out. So we not worried about that. We know where they at. We know how they operate, and we know what they done. They all got caught red-handed. Hand in the cookie jar. Right? They were so greedy they couldn't unball their fist to get their hand out the cookie jar. Don't that sound familiar?
It does. I mean, it's a lot of stuff going on, as I said, and I know for some it might seem like we're all over the place, but you know, I'm trying to address questions, and they may not all be in the same vein, but we have brother Rod, aka Soft, with us, and so, you know, yes, get those questions out, and I'm going to try to, you know, address them so that, you know, the majority of the things that we want to know, we can at least get something to study. And he's not telling you to believe him 100. You don't have to believe him, but he's like, study for yourself, check it out for yourself. Go to his Facebook page where he does have many posts with receipts of things. And, you know, don't be. Well, today I'm letting you be who you want to be. I'm not even, you know, even the ones that are being in there being detractors and saying negative stuff. You have a right. You know, you absolutely have a right. And but, you know, if you want, I will say this, that built a better mousetrap, then, you know, you need to have people over on your site so that they can get information you have that is more what you think, more complete. You can do that. You know, nobody's stopping you. But, you know, we need to have a little, you know, conflict, I guess, there, Rod.